Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Berman-Michael, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. To say I'm excited about this episode is an understatement. I could not be more excited to have the one and only Steve Kiles with me. So Steve, thank you so much for being here with me. If you could tell my audience just a little bit about who you are, and then we're going to jump right into this.
Hey, it's an honor to be on your podcast. And man, I love it. Mortgages are what I really feel like we're called to. You know, I remember being 25 years old and just praying about, okay, what do I do with the rest of my life? And I knew that it was mortgages. And I didn't realize the scope of what it is. So 20 years later, I'm a producing branch manager. And man, we're just seeing great growth, even in a downturn. You know, it's crazy in the mortgage space. Over the last 3.5, 4 months, we've seen mortgage rates double. And that's the first time they've ever doubled that fast. And I know so many people are saying the sky's falling. And what I'm saying is there's more opportunity now than there's ever been. You know, Michelle, the thing that happens is we tend to become slaves to this industry instead of learning how to be business owners. And what we do is really through process and through a daily success plan, coach loan officers across the country on, hey, you can live in freedom. You don't have to work 70, 80 hours a week. You don't have to lose your family and lose your kids and give everything you've got to an industry. You can truly be an owner, not just somebody who's doing everything inside of it. So man, the journey's been fun. And I'm excited to talk today about, you know, social and questions. And so let's go, girl. What you got?
Yeah. Well, I just love your mentality. And I think that that's one of the premises of this episode that it makes me really excited about this conversation. And I have personally watched you over the span of our relationship go from, we have kind of a social presence, like it's sort of there, to now It's an intention and it's a daily part of what you're doing, and you're creating content with a purpose, not I'm just going to produce content just to say I'm producing content and check the box. How do you go from that to now this is something that I really care about? This is something I'm spending money figuring out how to do properly. And I'm making the mental shift of making this a priority, especially in the market that we're currently in.
Hey, you know, there's a couple things. Let me talk about fear. One of the things, and you said it right, it has to do with mindset. Everything starts with their mindset. I think it's important that nobody teaches you success. Nobody teaches you what it is to do something great. I think in our mind, we've got to break through the fear of what happens if I do it and it doesn't turn into something great. Like social media. I can remember my dad, great man, hard worker, great work ethic. He walked in and he said, hey, Steve, he said, son, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. You just got to do it right. And I'll never forget as a kid, I didn't even realize what that did for me until later in life. I was trying things and I was failing. And I thought, man, I'm scared to take the next step. I don't know about social. If I do it, what if I look stupid? If I do social media, what happens and it's not effective? If I do it and it's a stupid picture, or what if my video that I do live has a blooper and it's not perfect? What if my hair is not right? My outfit's not right? What if my shirt's not literally iron pressed perfectly? And it created this fear until I began to realize is this: anything worth doing is not worth doing right. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. And part of the shift in mindset in social media was, if we're going to be effective, you have to begin to do it regardless of whether it's perfect, because our world lives on social media. What used to be email for us is now DMs and social media and like Facebook messages and Instagram messages. And if we don't learn to communicate the way the world is communicating to itself and get over the fear of perfection and saying, hey, guess what, Michelle, it's going to be bad. Like I just did some Instagram reels the other day, which were really funny. And one of them, I'm like, dude, that one's awful. I posted it anyway. I don't care. And funniest thing is you're going to get tons of likes and watches. Like one of them, and it was so stupid. It had like 2,600 views in the first 48 hours. And I just thought, you know what, as stupid as I think it is, even though I would go back, because the old perfect Steve would have looked at it and said, okay, I got to redo it. I got to redo it. Oh, I wasn't right on the music on that. You got to realize this, that social media is fast. Perfection is not the goal. It's being out, being real, being authentic, and letting them see inside and behind the curtain.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I wish I could just stop now and be like, done, we're out. Bye. But I think that there's more that we can talk about to dig into this more. And I want to tell a story too, because I think that this is really powerful. 2014, I decided to create Burma Media, and people thought I was absolutely batshit crazy. They're like, what are you doing? Like, your dad is a lawyer, your mom's a paralegal. I thought you were going to law school. Like, what's happening? Right. And I became kind of like this black sheep in the family, in a loving, like they just didn't get it kind of way. And what was really beautiful about that is I failed so many times to the point where my parents are literally talking to me and telling me, like, we don't know how to help you because you don't listen to us. Right. So it became kind of that conversation of like, daughter, what the heck are you doing? And I just remember, like, I have to stay this path, and I have to stay true to like what's in my soul, and I'm going to figure it out. And fast forward to 2019, the Instagram Power Method launches in July of that year. And guys, it totally freaking flopped, like bad. Like, I remember putting so much, I literally locked myself in my room, in my office, in my house at the time for 4 days straight. Didn't come out except to sleep. My husband had to remind me to drink water and to like pee, because I just wasn't even leaving the office. And I was so excited to hit launch on Monday, thinking like, I'm just going to sell thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of courses on Monday, even though nobody knew me and I had no launch plan. So like at the time, right, you're like, you just assume that it's going to be wonderful. So it was the opposite of what you were just describing, right? It was the opposite of like being so concerned with perception. I had no concept of reality, like the alternative. So when that was happening, I remember thinking like, I'm done for. Like, I just spent all my money on getting ready to launch this thing. I now have like $3,000 in my bank account total left, right? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I remember taking 2 weeks and stopping and just taking the whole 2 weeks off after that happened, and sitting there and saying, like, why did that fail? And I remember the best homework assignment I've ever done is write down everything that you think you did wrong, all of it, like every single thing that you think you did wrong. And that piece of paper was 2 pages long. It was a lot to digest. Then the next time we do it, if we do one thing better, we're that much closer to getting it right. And so it was this beautiful experience for me to fast forward to today. We've done almost $1.5 million in sales since that failed launch. Right. And we're in this position where it's like, I'm still so hungry to figure out how to make it even better, even if it's micro. And so I think that's my long-winded way of kind of getting back to your story of how it's not about doing it right, because like, what does that even mean? Right. You have been in business for 20 years and you're doing a lot of things right. But does that mean that every single day you just sit there and say, I'm doing everything right, so I'm just going to like not learn how to do more things correctly, or how to make micro adjustments to make it better? Yeah.
I love that. Well, it goes back to action versus inaction. And you know what? It goes back to this as well, which is progress over perfection. Progress is more important.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.